May it please you, I rise to make a contribution on this motion that was raised by the Honourable Member, Mr. Shira Duncan. And one would expect that if a presentation is being made, that you should, at the very least, support a position being advanced in this Honourable House, especially when you know that you do not have the numbers to support you on that side of the House. And the motion for which a bill is contained proposes to move possession, the decriminalization of possession from 15 grams all the way to 500 grams. And it shows exactly why those members on that side of the House should never be near power in this country ever again. No parent, and I have 2 children of my own, and many of you who have children of your own, I am sure that you do not share the opinion and share the view proffered by the Honourable Member that you should move the decriminalization amount to 500 grams. It is totally irresponsible. It is ludicrous to suggest such a dramatic shift. And then on top of that, you do not represent the majority of views in this House, and that does not represent the majority of position of the people in this country. Mr. Speaker, gradualism has its place. And when you are a government and you are charged with the affairs of people, you cannot conduct experiments with people's lives, especially young people. I've heard the Honourable Member, Mr. Figueroa, a moment ago, made a statement that Guyana is behind the times. And the original reference, which came from a commission study under the proposal, was that the countries are moving ahead. And by his own admission, Mr. Figueroa cited one country in the region that has passed the legislation. How could it be the case that we are behind the times and there's only been one country that has passed the legislation in the entire Caribbean? By his own admission, his position is illogical. In addition, you've had your time to speak. And let me also address the issue, because that was the most incoherent presentation that I've ever heard anyone make in this House. I heard about scrap metal. This is a debate on marijuana. I heard about scrap metal. I heard about sugar. I heard about shipments in cocaine. And just for the sake of reference, so that the Honourable Member understands that it is because of the People's Progressive Party's collaboration with the international security forces that we were able to achieve the interception of that big drug bust in the United Kingdom. So you don't start with me. Don't get personal with me. Ms. McDonough, don't get personal with me because I will have to remind your members of the House, or I may have to tell your members of the House how you used to come to the opposition leader office, Church Street, and used to come for support. Don't get personal with me. How you coordinated the protest up in Linden. Be careful. Be careful.
Came and asked for help. When you were in opposition, how many of your members came and asked for help?
All I'm hearing is a bunch of vacuous noises on the other side. And
I didn't stop you, sir, Honorable Minister. All I would do is caution you with respect to just using people's name without honorable, right?
I'm most grateful, Mr. Speaker. And the second point that I would like to raise in relation to this issue, because I don't intend to be long, this is a total waste of time for you to present a bill that moves the possession of cannabis, the decriminalization of the possession of cannabis up to 500 grams, which is over a pound. You know how much weed you have to get to make over a pound of weed? It's ridiculous. No scientific basis for making this presentation. None whatsoever. Show me the number of persons who occupy positions in the prison that are in. They are in prison for over 300 grams, over 200 grams, over 100 grams, over 400 grams. No scientific information at all. No information about your consultation. You claim you had consultations. What dates you had consultations? Who you had consultations with? Did you consult with us? The second thing that I would like to say, and let me make this point very, very clear, that in addition to the fact that you should never be near political power again, I want you to understand that when this is a policy decision, and when you now have 31 seats in the parliament, it is no longer your call. You have to be led on this. You can make contributions for which we can consider them as amendments, but you have to be led on this. And nothing can change that. Not a single thing can change that. There's an important point here too, because while there was a commission done, that established particular positions, and quite frankly, none of the other countries in the CARICOM for which this commission report was done, none of the other countries have aggressively pursued it. There was actually a study done in the Health Policy and Planning, number 35, volume 35 of 2020, pages 180 to 185 in the Oxford University Press, for which I will share I will share for the member of the House. It says this: worryingly, decriminalization positively correlates with the likelihood of first-time and general use for youths. There is also some evidence that the legislation results, it's speaking about the legislation in Jamaica. Having passed it in 2015, the title of this journal article, of this study, is The Impact of Decriminalization of Marijuana and Alcohol Consumption in Jamaica. So it is a scientific study on what has happened as a result of decriminalization, which incidentally, they didn't do 500 grams, they didn't do 400 grams, they didn't do 300 grams, they didn't do 200 grams, they didn't do 100 grams, they did 2 ounces. What is 2 ounces? Right? So this is a scientific study that if you are coming to make a very important change that will affect all of our lives, including your children. Some of you have children. You would want to know, how is that going to affect? How is this legislation or this policy position, is it going to affect your own children? I just told you, you're not listening. It said worryingly. Let me repeat, because it seems like your head hard. Worryingly, old people say, easy lesson hard for dunce. Easy lesson hard for dunce. It said, I quote, worryingly, decriminalization positively correlates with the likelihood of first-time and general use for youths. Worryingly. Then it also says there is also some evidence that the legislation results in a substitution away from alcohol towards marijuana consumption for youth. So, if it is the case that you're coming to make a presentation, you can't come to the House and cite one reference, which is a general inquiry. You can't come to the House and talk about bauxite and sugar and scrap metal. And then the final point that I want to make in relation to this issue is that there are very different strains of marijuana, some of which is loosely called skunk. It is a more powerful strain that negatively affects young people in a particular way that could be debilitating. Some people have been known, some young people have been known to get seizures. It would be irresponsible for us to have this wholesale change without examining this from a much more scientific and research basis. Simple. Not that I expect better coming from the other side, but it is disturbing that I stand here to come and listen to this type of change that you would like to make, and I now have to take the time to rebuke this. And I would like to, since my honorable member and colleague dealt with the issue that was raised about Michael Carrington's bill, I took the time to find the bill. I have the bill right here. I have the bill right here. It's number 17 of 2015, for which the Parliament office very kindly was able to share with me. This is emblematic. This particular bill is emblematic of the betrayal that the APNU+AFC made, not only of the people of Guyana, but by their own members. Their own members. This was laid in the House in 2015, and it never saw the light of day. Not even a consideration for your own member. Mr. Speaker, it is very important that the honorable members on both sides of the House know that this is a very important issue. I would be very disturbed if it turns out to be the case that all members of the APNU+AFC's side supports moving the decriminalization of weed to 500 grams. I'd be very disturbed about that. What I can say with confidence is that the People's Progressive Party has introduced a bill for which we had promised that we would do. A bill that will amend this Narcotics Act so that persons will face less penalties or different types of penalties, and it will be debated fully and sent to the Select Committee. But it is something that has to be done in a responsible way. This is not a time to play games and to experiment with the lives of Guyanese people, especially the young people in this country, for which I speak on behalf of here. And I am saying that when you occupy the position of government, and even as the members of the opposition, you hold a seat. You have to be responsible with your positions. And it is an absolute disgrace that you've used this opportunity to present a totally untenable and unsupportable situation and position. And it is for that reason that, Mr. Speaker, I will not support the motion. Thank you very much.